Hi, I'm Shubhra Gupta. I write on films for the Indian Express, and I have been writing for a very long time. And it's to me, I've been listening to everybody on the panel talk about how the audiences for our films have been increasing in the, globally, but from the kind of feedback that we get when we travel outside, it is still a very strong NRI population which watches our movies. Our films don't really get onto the high streets. There are very few pockets of people who come and see our films still after all these years. So I'm wondering whether, this is a question to you, Shahrukh, whether you do see that there is absolutely, the way forward is to go bigger and more global, but how do you actually see it happening?
Can I, sorry, before you, Shahrukh, can I just counter that by saying, how many American films do you see in India? And how many people see that in
the last 25 years, there were 4% Hollywood movies that used to come into India. It's only about 10% because we have a very strong film industry in this country, and because we like to watch our own movies. So but when we travel outside...
Is that a negative or is that a positive?
No, I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think it's great, but when we talk about leveraging the global strength of our films, we need to have more people come in and buy tickets. And those need to be people who are not just non-resident Indians.
We're getting there, man.
Yeah, sure, but I just want
every sixth person in the world is an Indian now. So
that's one way to do it.
Well, that's one way of looking at it, but I would really like to know because Shahrukh actually is what Mr. Bachchan was saying, that your films are really, you are the ambassador in very many ways. You have people, not just Indians, who come to Berlin and say hello to you, and that's been happening for the last 4 years. But now at this verge, when you and Karan Johar are doing interesting things, right, where do you look at India going global, more global than it is now?
Hello. Sorry, yes, is this TV friendly, this microphone placement?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It's fine. Go ahead.
All right. So, okay. No, I think, the fact that already, see, it had to have a beginning. And I think the beginnings happened from years with Raj Kapoor Saab, Amit ji, when Russian people watched our films. In Egypt, if you land, they will only call you Amitabh Bachchan if you're an Indian. So I remember, just on a side, I'll digress a little, but I have to say this. The first time I went for a song called Suraj Hua Madham. तो सर मैं नीचे उतरा, हमारी ही फिल्म थी, कभी खुशी कभी गम, आप भी थे उसमें. 12 साल हो गए सर, मुबारक हो.
Yeah, 12 साल हो गए. Yeah, 12 years of Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum today.
Today, yeah. So, yeah.
And 25 years of NDTV.
So when I landed, so जितने भी लोग वहाँ पे Egyptians थे, मेरा accent थोड़ा गलत है, but अरे अस्सलाम वालेकुम, Amitabh Bachchan, Amitabh Bachchan, Amitabh Bachchan. So I started telling them that no, वो इस गाने में नहीं है. मैं और काजल ही हैं, मतलब पूरी फिल्म यहाँ शूट नहीं हो रही है. कभी खुशी कभी गम, Amitabh Bachchan, Amitabh Bachchan. And then I said कि समझ गए होंगे कि आप नहीं हैं वहाँ पे. तो पीछे जब काजोल आई तो उसको भी यही बोला, हेलो अमिताभ बच्चन, अमिताभ बच्चन. तो वो हर इंडियन को, लड़के और लड़की को अमिताभ बच्चन ही बोलते हैं वहाँ पे. And sorry, but what you were saying that it's a beginning when the diaspora or the NRIs or the Southeast Asian community somehow takes on to our films. But there is a logic to it. A part of it will increase by the second, third generation, which is a little more mixed with the Western culture, which is not just completely Indian or Pakistani or Bangladeshi or Sri Lankan. I think that will happen. So that is the process which has been happening for the last 4-5 years now, like you mentioned. Some of the Westerners are introduced to our cinema. I met these German ladies that you talk about, and I say this everywhere. I said, why do you like Indian films? And their inherent reason for liking Indian films is we have a button for an escalator, we have a button for coffee, we don't have a button for crying. So Indian films make us cry. So there is an emotional connect, with Indian films in whatever garb they come out, which is a good thing. And a small percentage, like you mentioned, 4% has already happened. But to go in a bigger way, I think we will have to use the reverse process that is happening, that all the studios that have come into India, whenever they come and ask me or Karan or any of the people here, that what would you like us to give you in terms of monies for your films that we want to produce in India as Indian films? My take to them is, give me access to your scriptwriters, your technology, your distribution system around the world in a small way. Give me a little Gaga films, get me to release my film in Berlin like we have done. Please allow us to go to Venice. Take our films there because they genuinely do have more. It'll be stupid of us not to utilize that resource. So if we start utilizing that resource in the reverse, that please, Warner, Sony, come make the Indian films here because as you said, we are very strongly Indian film watchers. We do seldom watch the foreign films. We have a very strong Indian base here. So we retain that with these guys producing it for us, but whenever they do another film with us, like in My Name is Khan was the first experiment, where we requested Fox that please take us abroad, distribute it in the small way that you do, like a Bend It Like Beckham. So I think that give and take process is the main thing. But at the end of it all, you know what happens is they'll turn around and say, okay, we'll do it in the searchlight part. We want to be in mainstream. To be in the mainstream, I think we will have to use the resources of technology and script writing and marketing from the West. It'll be wrong of us to assume that we will be able to do it just on our own. We need to have that network, and I think that kind of give and take with these kind of studios is the next big step that will happen. But the creative people will have to be a little more flexible about the storytelling ways that they have.